So the first thing we want to do is in starter GUI insert our code GUI, which I have already created. This code GUI just contains a frame, which will contain our opening button, and it contains a main frame in which there is a display frame, in which we have our close button, a type in part where we can put in our code, a button to redeem it, a description, and a title. The first thing we want to do is in here in the opening button insert a local script, and in here simply type in script.parent dot mouse button one click function edged function script dot parent dot parent dot parent dot mainframe dot visible equals to true. Now in other scenarios we would use a not, but I actually want to use this giant X button to close it. In my opinion, that's just better. So, talking about that, in the close button that is positioned in our display frame, which is positioned in our main frame, we're going to insert a local script. And in here, we're just going to say script.parent dot mouse button one click don't connect function script.parent dot parent dot parent dot visible equals to false. One button turns it on, one button closes it. So that will be about it for that. Now I am going to say, because our title will just say code, but the description, it's more up to you. Currently it says follow your username on whatever platform for codes to redeem here. Now you would just replace the your username in brackets and the brackets with whatever your username is on the whatever platform, and you would also replace that if you would be posting codes there. Okay, next up we actually want to in script service insert a script, which we're going to call the CodeRedeemHandler. And in there, we are first of all going to get a data store for our code so that people can't redeem codes multiple times. So we're going to say local codes ds equals to name get service data store service get data store codes data store. And then we're going to get two more variables, local codes equals to, and this is going to be a table, and in here we can just insert the code names, which we are going to do in a format like this. We can split it up like this, but that is not the important thing. We basically just have quotation marks separated with a comma, separating further quotation marks. Now we can just say put the code names in here. So let's say this is code 1. This is a code, and code whatever. You're probably going to have other names for these codes, but I wouldn't know it. So we're also going to insert a module script into service script service, which we're going to call the CodeModule. In here, we are just going to have to, for each code that we define, in here all we have to do is a function, then module dot, and then whatever codes we have. So my first one was code 1, brackets, and in these brackets we can get the PLR. Afterwards we can drop a line, and in here we can just give this player whatever they should get for the code. Now to verify that this works, I'm just going to insert a print, and in the quotation marks the name of the code, and we're going to do that for every code we have. Okay, now we can return to the CodeRedeemHandler and say local code functions equals to require script.parent.CodeModule. Okay, now we have to enter application storage, insert a remote event, which we are going to call the CodeRedeemEvent. And then here we're going to drop 2 lines and say game.replicatStorage.CodeRedeemEvent.onServerEvent.connect function. We're going to get the player and the text, so player comma text. We're going to drop a line, and now we can actually return to the GUI because we have finished everything that we can finish off the GUI. So what we're going to do is in our mainframe display frame redeem, we're going to insert a local script, and we're going to say script.parent.master.net function, then local text equals to toString script.parent.codebox.text, and then game.replicated storage.CodeRedeemEvent fire server text. Now we do not have to insert the player argument that we are having here before the text, because Roblox automatically has that. So we first have to get the player and then we can get the text, even though we here only send off the text. And now that we have that, we can finish off the CodeRedeemHandler. And here we first have to check if text is not equal to nil, because that it could be that we send off a nil string. What we then do is if table.find codes, so this variable over here, so that's the table in the reservation for text. So if this is actually a code, then we know that this is a valid code. So we can say local code equals to text, just so we know it's a code. And then we can get local code key, because if we're working with data stores, we need to use keys. So local code key equals to code. So let's say code 1. We're going to concatenate that with an underscore in quotation marks. We concatenate with 2 dots. And then we use quotation marks, underscore, and then .plr.user ID, so that, because every player has to have their own code has to have their own key for every code to make sure who has redeemed it and who hasn't. What we're then going to do is we are going to say if CodeDS get async code key equals to nil, then. So this would be the case if the player has not redeemed the code yet. And then we're going to say local redeemable equals to code functions or module script, and then in square brackets code. And now we can simply say redeemable brackets PLR, and this will already fire off the consecutive function in the module script. And the last thing we have to do is say CodesDS set async code key true, because this will make sure that, because it's true, it could be false, it could be a string, it could be a number, it will all make that it's not nil, which means that the code has been redeemed. Then we just say here wait 1. Okay. And now to test this out, we need to ensure our game is published, so I'm just going to do that. Now, as we can see, if we join, and let's see, if we just type whatever into the code box, then if we click claim, nothing happens. But if we were to, let's say, type in code 1, which is actually a valid code that I defined, then if we click claim, okay, we appear to have an error. Oh yeah, okay, that should be, yeah, I just forgot to enable Studio Access to API services. So now if we play, and if we type in, just for proof, if we type in something into the code box and claim, nothing happens. But if we were now to use code 1, claim, it prints code 1, which is correct. Now we can say code whatever, which is the third code, and if we click claim, yes, that also works. But if we were, let's say, to put in code 1 again and click claim, it's not doing anything because we already claimed that code. What was the last code that we still had? This is the code. Okay, so if we now try this, is the code, click claim, Yep, that also works, but we can't claim it then. Also, we can close this GUI and open it with the button. Perfect. Now, just to show how you should add another code, because it's very, very simple. All we have to do is in our codes table, say comma, drop a line, add 2 quotation marks, and in here insert the code name. So let's say this is code 4, even though we don't have 2 or 3. Now we have code 4 that it will say, okay, that apparently is a code. And finally, we only in the code module have to say function module dot code, in this case 4 brackets plr, drop a line, and in here we can give the player stuff. I'm just trying to make it print code 4. And now, as we can see, also if we play again, we cannot redeem code 1. This is code or code whatever, because it saves that we redeemed it. But we can redeem code 4. And we cannot claim it again. Perfect.